Welcome back to On the Nose, TAB Racing Podcast, where myself and Thad Taylor look back on the two major thoroughbred meetings from Saturday. And although there were two, most of the talk was all about one of those meetings. But before we get to that, Thad, let's have a look at the Central Districts and New Plymouth.
Yeah, well, you can touch on that. We'll put an overview in, Paulie. Hello to you and to everyone out there in On the Nose land. We lost at New Plymouth, minus 60,000 the TAB on the day. Just a few highlights for you. See, Amend won the first race of the day, led all the way. We were losing around 20,000 on Amend, but Chattahoochee was first up. We're losing $130,000 on Chattahoochee in the first at New Plymouth. I see Stephen Hunt made it one of his value bets down there on the card. I'm sure that had nothing to do with the move.
Nothing.
But, yeah, look, it's a horse that's always extremely well backed. They're obviously happy with it. Nothing went right for it in the run. So Chattahoochee one to mark down, but they never fail to back Chattahoochee, Paul. Interesting in race two, there was a first starter that shortened up immensely. Jungle Love is driving me mad. 11 into 550, minus 50,000 for Peter Locke. So when you see those first starters shorten up, we touch on a few themes in the show as we go along. Mm-hmm. If a first starter's really hard in the market like that, it pays to sit up and take notice. And Jungle Love was minus 50,000. Beast of Burden won race number 5. That was minus 10,000. There's a lot of money for Pleasing in the race. Mike Breslin, I believe, she ran in some good races. Her last preparation, she was first up. She hasn't won in that condition. She was minus 35,000. She led up and boxed on a really hot speed, boxed on really well, and she was minus 35,000 first up, and she was only 2 lengths from a winner. She has won second up, and she's a speedy filly who will race up near the lead. So watch out for Pleasing would be my advice next time around. Minus 70,000 for Balance of Power. Tiako weren't just doing it up north, they're also doing it in the CD there in the rating 75, 2,000. That was minus 70,000 around Balance of Power.
Alan Sherrick.
Yeah, exactly. You got the theme. It don't get to a race meeting without getting called out by Alan Sherrick at New Plymouth once on the day, and we did with Cindy in the last. Finally got a win. He's been well backed on a number of times, but it was well backed. It was around $3 into around $1.90, I think, and it was minus 30,000. So a losing result at New Plymouth for the TAB. Overall, it was minus 60,000 on the day down there.
Well, I guess luckily most of the focus maybe was up north. And why don't we go there? And you just touched on the Walker Burgesson training team and race 1 at Ellerslie on a day where we had 4 Group 1s and, of course, the first ever running of the NZB Kiwi. Race 1 was picked up by that Tiako team once again.
Yeah, it was. Let's just touch on the day quickly. It was the second biggest turnover meeting in TAB history. Behind, have a guess, it's the Karaka Million from 2 years ago. And why would that have been the highest turnover meeting of all time, the Karaka Million meeting 2 years ago as opposed to this year? Because the BGP had $1 million pot. So that got slightly exacerbated, that turnover. That's the only meeting that has beaten the Kiwi turnover. So turnover was very good.
Lofty heights.
You were there on track. What was the atmosphere like? It looked like a big crowd.
It was a very, very big crowd. Looked like everyone was really getting into, I guess, the theme of the day, which was just enjoy it, be a champion.
Yeah.
And look, not everyone found a winner in every race, but
I'll tell you what, quite a few did. Yeah. Quite a few races.
Well, I could see the dominoes starting to fall early on, possibly not with Francie, although I guess because it was wearing those tangerine colours, I'm guessing that was probably well backed anyway, this lovely mare.
Yep. No, it was. Even though it was 9 out to 14, back to 13 late, because it's Walker Burgesson. We do touch on this a little bit. Some stables just have support regardless, and she's a mare who's promised plenty, and you look starting to deliver. She was a small win for the TAB, around plus $5,000 in the first of the day. Bonnie Fleur was the worst result for the TAB in the first. It was minus 137,000. Finished out the back and then was vetted and was found to have mucus. So some excuses around Bonnie Fleur. The money was certainly on, and the market mover was She's Untouchable. 650 into 440 for Stephen Marsh. Managed to finish third and was a good run. She's Untouchable. So, Francie a small win. The favourite we opened, Amazonia, was 5 out to 750, no money, and ran accordingly. So, yeah, a small win. Francie was reasonably well backed. The worst result, Bonnie Fleur did have excuses.
Speaking of mucus, I think I found
Yeah,
some myself.
you're right, mate. Come on, stick with it.
Race 2, the Sunline Vase, and our first favourite of the day gets home.
Yes, Island Life. We had a little 21% deduction there. The couple of horses coming out, but that would have meant it was around $3.50 into $2. So heavily backed, minus 30,000. I won't just spend too long on this one. They got it right here, well and truly. This time, Girl ran second and had good support as well. It was a little bit unlucky, went up the fence and finished quite close up to the Island Life. And the worst result in the race was actually Windsong, one of these ones where a drifter continues to take money, and I think there was a sense in the marketplace certainly that it was good to struggle up over ground potentially, and didn't run a bad race in fairness. Windsong wasn't a mile off them, so but it was 10 out to 21, but it was minus 120,000. So our customer base sort of disagreed with the way the market was moving late to a degree there, but most people had Island Life on their ticket in the second of the day, minus 30,000, $3.50 to $2, well found.
Race 3, the Honui Farm Kings Plate, the Group 3 over the 1,200 metres, and Ken and Bev Kelso waved to the crowd. And I guess Alabama Lass was well weighted in this, with Crescetti performing very, very well as in behind.
Yeah, exactly. She's just got such gate speed, hasn't she? And I mean, just didn't give Babylon Berlin even a chance of capturing the lead. I don't know if that was ever the plan, but what that meant is they got into position so quick. Alabama Lass really dictated, or Sam Spratt and Alabama Lass dictated as they liked. And with Babylon Berlin just said, happy to coast along outside leader, the speed looked pretty sedate. And in fairness to Warren Kennedy, he pushed the button early, which he had to have any sort of chance in the race. So no problem with the move Warren made over a short distance. He had a big weight, so you've got to keep the momentum up. You're not going to pick her up in a short sprint, Alabama Lass. So he pulled out. Look, Crescetti was quite soft. So was Babylon Berlin. So was Sacred Satono. So was the whole field, because Alabama Lass was $2 into $1.60. 66% of the fixed odds hold was on Alabama Lass. So that sort of suggests to you that it was backed like it was $1.50 chance. So if you did get the $2, that was good value around Alabama Lass. She was minus $110,000. So I'm almost say back to the exclusion of all others, but yeah, she was back like $1.50 chance, Alabama Lass, and saluted well and truly. Crescetti was game, but the marketplace sort of did tell the tale, $3.20 out to $4, and Babylon Berlin. Well, if she wasn't going to lead, I think the marketplace said she wasn't going to beat Alabama Lass, and that was reflected in the price, $4.80 out to $7.50, but Alabama Lass 2 into $1.60 minus 110,000.
Race 4, and it's the first Group 1 of the day for the juveniles. It's the Steamer Stakes with those tangerine colours to the fore again, although he didn't have it all his own way. He had to fight for this one. It was the head up and down, but they got there in the end after the scratching during the week of the stablemate La Dorada, who was second favourite. Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, interesting market. Probably for the fact that our customers loved Return to Conquer. And he was $2.40 into $2.10 in fairness. He had 75% of the hold in the race. And, with He Who Dares in the race, it can take, and it being the stablemate of a well-backed favourite, that can mean that money that may have gone on He Who Dares probably goes on Return to Conquer. So I can understand why the hold probably was a little bit more increased than you would expect for a horse that was $2 in the market. Again, 75% of the hold. We're talking back like a $1.35 chance from our customers. Now, the market late did give a couple of horses a chance to beat Return to Conquer, and he had some question marks. Was blinkers for the first time, he hasn't been putting these fields away. He's been winning, and he still continues to win. And so, he's done absolutely nothing wrong. He's a valuable colt now, of course. But To Cap It All was 11 into $5.50. That was a huge run from To Cap It All. It was 3 wide throughout, and still had the temerity to box on into third. And Lucy in the Sky as well was $8.50 to $5. And you missed the start for a little bit. So it was a little bit unlucky as well. And just to give you some idea of the turnover on in the race and how much was on Return to Conquer, it was minus $170,000 to $2.40 to $2.10. And Landlock, who was a roughy in the race, fair to say it, there around $35, was plus $250,000. So a fair old swing. We're talking north of $400,000 swing.
A bob of the head swing.
A bob of the head swing. Went the customer's way, would you believe it? No luck, Paul.
Well,
no luck.
This is getting really, we're getting a trend here. We've had 3 favourites in a row, and then we had what was it, $1.60, $1.50 shot going round. In the very next race, another Group 1, the Hong Kong Jockey Club Whirlpool New Zealand Thoroughbred Breeders. And Sam Spratt helps the TAB out with Provence, or did she?
Yeah, no. She did. She did. It certainly was the alternate with Legato would not have been pretty, it'd be fair to say. I think it was $1.65 into $1.55 Legato. It was never hard in the market. Obviously, it was sort of hovering around there all day. There wasn't that push in that you might have potentially expected to see, but there was over $100,000 taken out of that fixed odds market and put on the TAB Lightning Boost. Now, that $100,000 probably wouldn't have gone on Legato at $1.60, but a lot of that turnover and the really bad result was in the boost. There was $100,000 on the boost, so we were losing, north of $350,000 on Legato and the Lightning Boost.
Not to mention the multis.
Yeah, and that was probably the key to the whole day. I mean, it wasn't a good day for the TAB, and I'll give a summation at the end at Ellerslie, but it wasn't a disastrous day, and that's what it could have turned into had Legato won. Aquarello was 18 into 15. Conisana ran well again, 6.15 to 6. And look, Jaffe was $34 into $23. Probably should have won the race. It got back last. It was unlucky up the straight. It had to be checked about 6, 7, 8 times. I'm exaggerating, but it was a lot. And only just beaten by Provence. But the marketplace did give Jaffe some chance, 34 into 23. And I haven't touched on the winner. In fairness, Provence, the winner of a Group 1 Thornton Mile, and no luck in Elisa Chittick plate there at Mudda last time out, was 14 out to 23. But because she's a Group 1 winner and has her fans, she was relatively well backed. She was only a small win. The likes of Aquarello and that were north of 50,000. I was going to say France. Provence was around plus 15,000. But yeah, I'm not complaining because we needed a circuit breaker, Paul, with the way the day had started, and it came in the form of Provence. Legato, in fairness, suffered a cardiac arrhythmia, which makes a bit of sense because those horses all came from behind Legato, and with the run Legato had, you wouldn't have thought any horse would come from behind Legato to go over the top. So that's unfortunate. I hope she's fine, and I hope she gets back to the races very, very soon because we need stars like her in the game. But Provence, a small win, 14 out to 23.
Next race, another Group 1, the Bone Crusher New Zealand Stakes, and normal transmission resumes with the favourite getting up. And boy, I had the pleasure of going round inside the track to the starting gates for the start of the Bone Crusher. I can tell you what, El Vencedor is a ball of muscle.
He looks a beast, isn't he?
Certainly
Hope he goes well in Hong Kong. It'd be great to see him run a race there when the team get up there. We've seen a bit of a theme with these weight for age horses recently. Our customers love orchestral, and we just have to hold fire on El Vencedor. And to be fair, the marketplace gravitates towards it late, but by then the damage has potentially been done. Now, even though El Vencedor was $1.90 to $1.55, it was a positive result, plus 70,000 for the TAB. Now, obviously, multis play a different game, but we're just talking sort of straight up fixed odds win here, plus 70,000. Orchestral was $3.30 out to $5, but was minus 250,000. So these ones are sometimes hard to sort of weigh up how that happens, but the marketplace sensed it, but she's just a mare that our customers want to be on or wanted to be on up to the 2,000 metres. But just with her racing pattern now, she becomes a little bit of a risk. And look, I don't know what the plans are with her going forward. Roger and Robert suggesting that they did vet check her after the race, nothing wrong. But with her racing pattern now, she's becoming a little bit of a costly commodity as orchestral. Lark Creek was $6 into $4.40, back to $6 late with all the money being on Avencedor, but did run one heck of a race. And Cali Alfarasha was 16 into $6. They got the price wrong and they're at $16, the boys. I've told them to, don't worry. And they appreciated it. They said,
I'm sure they did.
Thanks for telling us that. Yeah, we appreciate that. Back out to $8.50 ran another honest race to run into the money. And Fongai, who keeps running great races, it was 14 out to $31 when all the money came for El Vencedor. It was minus 100,000, ran well. But what we priced up as a 2-horse race really turned into a 4-horse race according to the marketplace. But the move was for El Vencedor late, $1.90 into $1.55. But because we had so much money on Orchestral, Kelly Alfarasha and La Creek, it was actually plus 70,000.
Nice. Okay, the Barfoot and Thompson Auckland Cup. And, come on down, Central Districts. Raymond Connors.
Get him up.
Did he save the bookies' bacon a wee bit here and beaten the Chris Waller to Janus?
Isn't it a great game, Paulie? Isn't it a great game? Your man from just outside of Bulls there brings the old Hardy Stayer up and takes down Sydney's premier trainer. Just bring a tear to the eye, that sort of thing, for seeing Raymond Connors there interviewed in his bucket hat after the race. 14 out to 21 into 17. Great training feat. I hadn't had a run since the Wellington Cup and had a trials in between and then went bang in an Auckland Cup. So we know how good the Connors are. Absolutely brilliant horsemen. Plus 50,000. There were better results in the race. CD get to take home a bit of money there in the Auckland Cup. It was both the Aussies where the action was in terms of market movement. Interpretation 9 into $6 and ran well for third did look a winning chance probably on the top of the straight, but didn't, got home strong enough. But Tajanis was minus 140,000, 440 into 245, and you could be just a touch disappointed that it didn't win. I think you might have had a ticket on Tajanis, did you?
I may have, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay.
Do you feel all right about it? It was a bit unlucky.
I'm okay.
Yeah, it was a bit unlucky. Lost Cause. I just want to mention Lost Cause. Speaking of Hardy CD runners, I just loved the bit where Jimmy Cassidy presented Leah Hemi with the colours on trackside prior to the race. The Kiwi colours, exactly, with the Luptons. And unfortunately for Leah, she got trapped wide the trip, 3 wide the whole way round. I think finished 5th in the race. Just a huge run from Lost Cause. So just wanted to mention Lost Cause. Let Fly was minus 100,000. Blue Sky at Night was minus 100,000. But Trav, the winner, was plus 50. Tajanis was the worst result in the race, minus 140,000.
The first ever NZB Kiwi. And I'm guessing there was a fair spread of money across a number in this field. In the end, the Cracker Millions 3-year-old champion gets up after being last at the turn.
Yeah.
I'm still not quite sure how she won.
No. Do we say bomb the start, or Blakeshin knew exactly what he was doing? He just came out quietly.
Exactly.
Maybe you say that because
he's a very clever jockey.
It's Blake Shin. So, as you say, look, the turnover in the race was north of well over $500,000 for the TAB, just fixed odds. So, as you say, the money was extremely well spread. So, even though Damask Rose was 8 into $5, it was a break-even result, but the move, it certainly came late. The hard money came for Damask Rose late in proceedings, and Perfuma sort of went the other way. The early move was 750 into around 480 on the Bjorn Baker runner, then back out to 750. Evaporate was minus 130,000, so it was a very well-backed favourite in the race. It ran well. It was sort of 260 out to 290, back to 260, just hovered around that price all day, and there wasn't a lot of movement around the favourite. I do want to mention Adalio in the race. That was a move, and this is another one that got caught wide and boxed on. Where did it finish, Paul Adalio? 7th.
Yep.
It was probably one of the only horses that shortened in that sort of $20 to $30 bright bracket. It was 31 into 18. Adalio ran a heck of a race off of no luck in the run. So mark Adalio down in your books. I can tell you there's some disastrous results in the race. Just for of interest in viewers here, Pivotal 10, the Southern Filly, was minus $500,000. First Dance was minus 850,000 for the TAB, and Domain Ace, all the roughies at big prices here, was minus 700,000. So fair to say the TAB let you climb onto those outsiders at odds. Damask Rose was the market mover late. It was the hot horse, the TAB hot horse, 8 into $5. But a break-even result in the first ever NZB Kiwi.
Trackside New Zealand Derby, and the favourite gets home.
Newest questions whether he would be favourite, wouldn't he? Should he be favourite? Shouldn't he be favourite? I didn't really know the answer, but the marketplace let me know.
Perfect run in the Avondale Guineas for mine.
Exactly. Just that you gave a nice quiet one.
Nice quiet
educational one. Maybe Massa knew what he was doing.
He knew exactly what he was. Well, he knew what he was doing on Trav.
Yeah, yeah. Didn't get the chance to have a go on Will He Do It, sadly, for him. But look, Will He Do It? 440 into 310. So, which says to me they were going to be positive. I mean, it's the only way the marketplace had to have known that they were going to not be cold from the gate because it had an awkward barrier again. If it was going to do something similar, it risked, being a victim of speed in the race again, although they were probably always going to go quicker in a derby than they were in an Avondale Guineas, and that proved to be the case. But, yeah, the only way I could see that really sharp move for Will He Do It was just the fact that they weren't going to be dictated to. Maybe that was more the point there. 440 into 310, minus 50,000 for Will He Do It. Harkonnen 23 into $9. Now, Whirlpool in operation in this race, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
We'd seen Blake Schwinn win on Damask Rose. I think he'd won somewhere else as well.
Return to
Conker. And so the Tiaki, Blake Schwinn combination was starting to heat up. Now, not to say that move on Harkonnen was all down to the Whirlpool tote being short on Harkonnen, but I feel like there's some influence there, some cross-pollination. 23 into $9 on Harkonnen. That was probably one of the only shorteners, and the rest of them were just boxing around, the likes of Tuxedo, the Doctor of Love, who ran another good race. They were all sort of holding their ground in the marketplace. Mustang Morgan was 34 out to 71. It was minus 150,000 for the TAB, and it ran a very meritable
top
fourth, exactly. So, there might be a bit more to Mustang Morgan. Certainly ran better than betting expectation, in fairness, but Big Willie did it.
He did do it.
440 into 310, minus 50.
And just when you think the bookies have got out of jail.
Here we go. Nice, easy finish.
Final race of the day. And, boy, oh boy, Stephen Marsh or Tiako, take your pick. They both had wonderful days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Provence winning again for Stephen Marsh, and they've been going
El Vencedor.
So well, El Vencedor.
With Tardelli.
Yeah, he certainly did finish us with Tardelli. Minus 80,000 for Tardelli. What a win. Right from the back. Didn't look a chance on the corner. Well, sort of did look a chance. That's how well it was travelling, but she had a lot of ground to make up and only ran over. What was the horse that beat, Paul? Was it
Romilly?
BMAC.
Yeah.
Still BMAC on course.
He was there. Yes, he was.
They were obviously expecting a run. And they got one in fairness, but look, Class led them up. She's a speedy filly. That was 1,500 metres, same distance as a Kiwi, obviously. So, yeah, I think that's probably just a little bit beyond her range. She ran very gamely. She's got a lot of speed, does Class. Tardelli, 380 into 260, minus 80,000. And I was in the booth for TAB Trackside on Saturday, and 7 out of 10 hot horses saluted. This is just down to the marketplace late, and I'm just reading what I'm seeing here.
You're plugging trackside in the Saturday coverage.
I'm plugging me.
Yourself.
I'm plugging
basically
me.
on trackside on a Saturday.
More me.
Right.
But
okay.
No, but it's not me, though. What it is, it's the power of the marketplace. This is what I'm trying to allude to.
So you're just the messenger passing on what the market is telling you.
The conduit. There you go. No. Yeah, I'm just trying to, and I mean, I've watched a lot of markets. So, you get to understand the power. That's all I'm saying is there's so much power in those late moves and those and the late drifts as well. And that's what we're hoping to sort of bring to light on this 20-25 minutes that we have with you every week. So, yeah, minus 80,000 Tardelli to round out a day, Paul.
Here we go.
There's I tally up. Minus 300,000 at Ellerslie.
I tell you what.
If Legato had won.
You'd take that now, wouldn't you?
Yeah. 100%. I thought it was going to be worse. But again, so in saying that, yes, I thought it was going to be worse. If Legato had won, it definitely would have been a hell of a lot worse. But that might be a credit to the strength and depth of the fields, which is sort of spreading the money, which meaning some of the well-backed results or worst results, aren't quite as bad as because that money's well spread. I mean, we look at Damask Rose, 8 into 5 in a Kiwi. You'd be thinking, we're minus 150,000 there. It's minus 200,000. It's Tiaka, it's Damask Rose. But because they were spreading the money far and wide in the NZB Kiwi, as they should have been, meant that result was just sort of lessened a little bit. So I think that's down to the strength of the fields, the strength of Champions Day, and full credit to everyone involved there. It was a fantastic day. And as I say, the second biggest turnover meeting in TAB history, minus 300,000.
You had those 3 Australian trained horses come over for the Kiwi, which just added that wee bit more to the race, and I guess would sort of, Evaporate's run, in the futurity behind Mr. Brightside, would have a lot of Aussies standing up and thinking,
hello,
this boy's okay.
Yeah.
He can go.
Well, and a lot of Aussies be saying, geez, if he can run Mr. Brightside to a length and a half, he's got to be a bet when he goes over to take over those Kiwis against his own age grade. So, again, you're right. That just brings more eyes to the game, and the World Pool does. Exactly, that does that as well. And so I agree that could have been a day that had the potential to be a lot worse, but the money was well spread because there were so many good horses to back, basically. But still, it deserved to be a losing day for the TAB. It deserved to be a winning day for our customers, and it was. Minus 60 at New Plymouth, minus 300,000 at Ellerslie in the TAB fixed odds books.
All right, that's it for another week, Thad. Thanks for popping in once again.
My pleasure, Paulie.
Thanks to you guys for tuning in, and we'll be back again next week with another On the Nose.